The world of Bleach fans has been agog ever since it was revealed that Ichigo was part Quincy, and we know that this is a cool race in the Bleach world. All this while, we were given the impression that Ichigo was a Shinigami, where he used his Shinigami abilities, but little is known about his Quincy powers from the different scenes we have seen him execute this trait so far. The funniest thing about this revelation was in episode 1 when we saw him in his room. It was shown that his bedspread was blue with a white cross, which is the symbol of Quincy, indirectly going to prove his Quincy background to the viewers. Now, let's talk about this cool revelation properly. Ichigo happens to be the son of Isshin Kurosaki and Masaki Kurosaki. Isshin Kurosaki is formerly known as Isshin Shiba and happens to be a Shinigami who was later revealed to be from the noble Shiba family and was once a captain of the Gotei 13, while his mom, Masaki, was a pure-blood Quincy. The part of his mom being a Quincy was kept away from him, but with time, he began to manifest the powers of the Quincy, though unknowing the reason it wasn't complete was that Ichigo's Quincy powers were suppressed by old man Zangetsu, who told him that he saw into the future, where he claimed Ichigo died, and much wasn't said about that, as he didn't care to explain under what circumstances he died. But from his fear, it is safe to say that he died from the use of his Quincy abilities. Aizen knew he was a Quincy. When he first saw him, he said that he was the son of a Shinigami, but then his father had to interrupt the conversation and prove that he knew his son was a Quincy, but didn't want it to be revealed yet. Even though old man Zangetsu didn't want him to use his Quincy powers, there were some periods he let him use these powers. For example, we know that Quincy's naturally has a high amount of Reiatsu. In the Soul Society invasion arc, he had a few confrontations which helped us to see his Quincy powers, which he, at the same time, didn't know. He had an example of such a scenario, was in chapter 105, when he was fighting Captain Kenpachi. He was on the verge of defeat when old man Zangetsu appeared and touched him on his shoulders, and his spiritual energy increased exponentially, all to the surprise of the captain, who didn't believe he had such Reiatsu, and he ended up being able to defeat him. This singular scenario showed us that Ichigo was a Quincy. We could see clearly at the start of the anime when Rukia, after saving him at first, wanted to give him a little portion of her powers. But he ended up taking in everything, which was to her amusement and shock. This is merely our speculation, but we know that Quincy's can increase Reiatsu quite easily. So for him to have taken all of Rukia's Reiatsu, then we started sort of believing he could be a Quincy. We have seen situations when this was also proven, like when Uryu fought Captain Kurosuchi, and he was absorbing the surroundings of the Soul Society, and when the captain seemed surprised, he told him that Reiatsu was flowing everywhere around them, and Quincy's absorbs them when they deem it necessary. The fact that he was a Quincy was hidden from him by old man Zangetsu and his dad Isshin. We don't know why, but we think it has something to do with the dangers he would be in if it was said that he was a Quincy. Old man Zangetsu told him he was going to lose his hollow powers if he went over the edge in his quest to get stronger. He didn't want to come out bluntly to tell him what he meant by that statement, but after that, it has been revealed that he is a Quincy. Then we think that's what he meant. Though there were situations where old man Zangetsu allowed him to get into contact with his power. For example, he trained with the white Zangetsu, who kept showing him how to use his weapon and abilities properly on several occasions. And he once told him that they would be united again, as it was a matter of time, which goes to show that he was the real Zangetsu. We can see that when he fought Aizen in the final battle between them, Aizen was laughing at Ichigo as he couldn't sense any spiritual energy from him. But to his surprise, he noticed they were fighting on par. And not just were they on par, Ichigo was purely overpowering him. At this stage, we can see he was at the peak of the Shinigami limit. And when Aizen took his last and final form, Ichigo had no choice than to sacrifice his powers to defeat him, using the ultimate black Getsuga Tensho. Logically, when you give up all your power, you shouldn't be able to access the spiritual energy or anything. But Ichigo did.
Now I understand. If I use this technique, I will lose all of my Soul Reaper powers.
When he fought Quilgeopi, Senpai Yhwach, he was imprisoned in jail as a result of his ability, but he kept trying to break free by using his black Getsuga Tensho, but it came bouncing back at him. It was like he was almost the reaction of the Ryotsu, with his inner being triggered, and then it released his Quincy self. And just as Yhwach said, the prison can't lock down a Quincy. We can see the full activation of his Quincy powers when he was fighting Yhwach, and he tried to pierce his throat with a sword. Ichigo activated the blue vein, which hardened his skin, and the attack didn't go through much. To his surprise, he used his sword once again on his arm, and the same thing happened. It was at this junction that Yhwach confirmed that Ichigo was part Quincy, as the blue vein was a technique used only by those of that race. He then went on to declare that he shouldn't have sent a pureblood Quincy like Quilgeopi to fight him, as it was obvious that Ichigo absorbed his Ryotsu. This was the same period that Old Man Zangetsu finally revealed to him that he wasn't the true spirit of his Zanpakuto, and he was more of a limiter to his Quincy power. After this interaction, Old Man Zangetsu finally disappeared, and almost at that period, his limits broke off and he unleashed his full Quincy abilities. After Ichigo awakened his Quincy powers, we could see his Zanpakuto split into two swords, with the shorter black sword representing his Quincy powers, and the other one, the hollow, fused with the Shinigami power he got from his father, which, when fused, is the Horn of Salvation form. Now, that's a cool look. The name implies could be the salvation of the world from impending doom, and we believe that would be the true purpose of Ichigo. In our own opinion, Ichigo is stronger when he awakened all of his powers as Shinigami, Hollow, and Quincy, as we could see in his entire appearance after the switch of personalities. He was also finally able to engage Yhwach during the 1,000-year Blood War arc in a battle, and the end, he defeated him, although he was able to do that with the help of Aizen, who used his illusion abilities to give Yhwach the impression that his almighty was already active. Quincy's have always been enemies to the Soul Reapers, so it's only ideal that one would defeat one of the strongest Shinigami in the arc. Yhwach during their battle said that the Quincy blood within Ichigo would not let the Soul King exist, which means that Ichigo is the person that would kill the Soul King. We know the Soul King is the complete being in this anime, as it was said that he had both the Shinigami, Quincy, and full bringer of power, and that's what made him different from every other person. But it should be noted that Ichigo also has the same, as he is part Quincy, Shinigami, and Fullbringer also. This fact goes to show that Ichigo is somewhat very special, as he might already have a pre-handed destiny of being the one to end the Soul King's reign, and we won't be surprised if he takes over the throne. This goes in line with what Aizen told him in the Arrancar arc, that he was born special. I feel everything is beginning to make better sense now. So far, Ichigo hasn't been able to knowingly use his Quincy abilities because all the while he was training as a Shinigami and not as a Quincy. And the techniques are very different, and he would need to be trained by a master of the Quincy techniques for him to properly use it. The anime is getting more interesting, and we know we get to see more of his Quincy abilities and how Ichigo will save the world. We take this opportunity to ask for your subscription if you are new here, with the bell activated, so that YouTube will notify you whenever we release a new video. We are counting on your support. Leave comments on topics of Bleach videos you want to see here on our channel. Thank you very much.